Hi everybody, this is Dr. W, and I'm really sorry that I wasn't able to join you in class today, but I did want to give you a little bit of information about myself. Hopefully I'll be meeting many of you soon in some of the classes that I teach. Um, so to get started, I just wanted to show you what I look like since I'm not there. So this is a picture of me. I am the one with the glasses in this picture. This is a picture of a presentation that I just gave a couple of weeks ago, so it's pretty recent. So you know the face behind the voice that you're going to hear for a few minutes today. So I wanted to just start by talking a little bit about my background and like what sort of things I did as an undergrad, and then what degree I got, and what kinds of writing and teaching I do. So it's a little bit different from other folks in the department. So you can see I pulled my CV up just so you can see what my degrees were. So when I was an undergraduate, I just got a BA in English, and I was really interested in creative writing, and I wanted to go on and actually get my MFA in creative writing, but that didn't quite work out for me. I was woefully underprepared for applying for grad school and only applied to one place. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so my advisor actually encouraged me to apply for another program that was close by that was an MA just in writing. And I applied for that and I was accepted. So, so at that point, I went and started studying. You can see my master's degree is also in English, again with a little bit of a specialization in writing. It was a concentration in written communication, and as part of that master's program, I had a graduate fellowship and teaching assistantship. So I taught first year writing courses, which was a little bit weird because I was like just graduated college. I was like 21, I forget, 21, 22, and many of my students were non-traditional, so they were older than me or very close in age to me, and I knew nothing about teaching. I didn't want to teach. It wasn't one of my, life goals or anything like that, but immediately I loved it and started learning a lot more about it in my master's program. I took many courses that were related to the teaching of writing, like courses in assessment and literacy, and started to become very, very interested in the teaching of writing and how people learn to read and write. And that led me right into my doctoral program. So the name of my doctoral program is a little bit crazy. It's got lots of words in it. So I pulled up the page online so you could see a little bit about it. It was a degree in literacy, rhetoric, and social practice, which is like a huge mouthful. But basically, the general kind of field that my doctoral degree is rhetoric and composition. What that is the study of not creative writing, not literature, but more nonfiction writing and sort of the practice of writing itself, and especially persuasive nonfiction writing and how people come to read and write and learn to read and write, which was right up my alley. That was what I was most interested in. So rhetoric and composition's actually a really kind of an emerging field. It started to become super huge around the time that I was in graduate school. That was low, I think, about 10 years ago now that I started grad school. I got my PhD in 2010 from this program. So that's a little bit of kind of an overview of my academic history, because it's a little bit different from other folks in our program. So people who get a degree like the one that I have, a lot of times they go on to teach, usually in larger institutions if they're teaching graduate level work in this area. Another thing that people with this degree tend to do is oversee writing programs and the teaching of first year writing in various institutions, or writing across the disciplines, which is what I actually do here at Seton Hill. So just to give you a little bit sort of a sense of the kinds of things that I do, of course, I'm always teaching. Every semester I teach, actually, I think I have listed here some of the courses that I've taught. So every semester I teach 2 courses in undergraduate study at Seton Hill. I teach always a first year writing course, and then I teach another course in English. One thing about teaching at a small school like Seton Hill is that you have to be what's called a generalist, which is that you have to be able to teach a wide range of classes because there's not that many faculty like there would be at a larger institution. So even though my degree is in rhetoric and composition, I have taught creative writing, I've taught literature, but definitely my wheelhouse and specialty are courses that relate more to rhetoric and composition. For instance, in the spring, I'll be teaching a linguistics class, and that is sort of right up my alley. I took several courses in linguistics as a grad student, and linguistics is really all about how people use language, what are the rules of language, how do people, come to language differently, those sorts of things. And then in addition to the teaching that I do, I also direct the writing program. Just to give you a sense of what that involves, I work on the schedule for all the first year writing classes. I hire and train instructors, and then with existing instructors, I work with them on professional development. Being a writing program administrator also comes with kind of like a special element that not a lot of administrative jobs have, which is that there's a lot of curricular oversight. So my job as the director is that I am supposed to stay current with kind of what's going on in the scholarship around first year writing and make sure that our program is sort of up to date with all of that, basically. I'm also like the public face of the writing program. I am on several committees related to our work. I am like the spokesperson basically for the writing program. I talk to the registrar and admissions and the library, our adult degree program. I talk with parents. I talk with students. If there's ever problems with grades, I sort of adjudicate those. I also oversee the placement process for our students, chair several committees related to this work, including the writing intensive committee as well. So that's the reason why I only teach 2 classes each semester, is because my positions actually split administrative and teaching. So I get a 2-course release to do the work, the administrative work that I do, which again is directly related to my graduate work, and I find very exciting. You might find, I don't know, reading through the description, it doesn't sound so exciting maybe, but with my background, this is what I'm most sort of passionate about, is making sure that curriculum is being delivered in an effective way, and that curriculum is innovative and exciting and helping the most students that it possibly can. So that's kind of a description of my education, what I sort of do for my job. I also quickly wanted to talk to you about my research and scholarship. So what my research kind of focuses on, my graduate training is very heavily social science kind of grounded. So my research is always involves going out and collecting some data, and then using that data to solve a problem or answer or address a question. So a lot of times that is curricular related. Again, you can see some of my recent conference presentations. I have reported kind of on curricular changes that have been made, things that we've done in the writing program, like with a new placement measure. I presented with our institutional researcher at an assessment conference about that. I've presented on things I've done in the classroom, and then also larger kind of research projects I've undertaken. Typically those take the form of articles and book chapters. Sorry, I'm scrolling all around here, making myself dizzy. And I wanted to quickly just show you a couple of those. So what these look like. Some of my most recent publications you can kind of see have to do with research writing and first year research writing. That was where my interest, that's one of my big interests. That's something I teach all the time. And my dissertation here I turned into a book chapter, so I'm just going to show you those really quickly. So this is an example, oops, forgive whatever that loud noise was, somebody driving by on my street by my house, sorry. So this is my dissertation, which I turned into a book chapter. Again, you can see how my dissertations related to teaching, but it involved gathering some data about different teachers' practices and then, writing about that. Another recent thing that I wrote was a book chapter for a collection called Bad Ideas About Writing, which are not actually bad ideas, but it's meant to sort of be a response to myths in popular culture about writing instruction and what it means to be a writer. And so my chapter was about research writing again, no surprise. Just trying to find it here. Yeah, right here. So research starts with a thesis statement is a bad idea about writing that I kind of debunked in this chapter. Another book that I have a chapter in is called The Future Scholar. It was a chapter that I wrote about using comics to teach research writing to first-year students and how first-year students interpret the task of research. Another book I have a chapter in is Teaching Literature with Digital Technology. That looks like this. It's a more practical chapter talking about things that I've done, assignments and things that I've done in the classroom. So you can kind of see how all my research, my writing, my professional work, my administrative work, the kind of connective thread to all this is curriculum and, the teaching and learning process and just trying to make it as effective as possible. And probably you've noticed by now that my publications are a little bit different from maybe what you'd expect an English professor to publish. So I've never written a book. I don't write creative writing. I don't write literature. I don't write poetry, except here and there. Really, my wheelhouse is research articles and nonfiction. And so if that's something that interests you, at all, then I'm happy to have further conversations with you. Not everybody in my field studies classroom writing and research. A lot of folks I graduated with studied how people wrote in like workplaces and in nonprofit work or the military and things like that. So if you're interested at all in the study of reading and writing and you like to write nonfiction, then I'm somebody who you should definitely track down and talk to me anytime. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Again, I'm sorry that I couldn't be there, but feel free to shoot me an email or stop by my office anytime. Thanks, guys.